music college and studying the guitar. We had some amazing people there, and one of the things that they taught us to do was to imagine the fretboard. So you have where you play the guitar, kind of on there is the fretboard on the neck, and we were told to imagine. I can't hear him. Should I just log out? He is back on again. Okay. Take two. I have picture sound, but it only goes for small time and cuts off before 2 minutes. Okay, you may well be just starting at the beginning again. Let me just make sure. Yeah, the volumes are fine on here. So that should be fine. So playing guitar, and we were told to imagine the fretboard in our mind and to see each note on there, to see each string. So I'm trying to think. I don't have my guitar in here. It's all upstairs. And so as you would press down on one of the notes on one of the strings and touch the fret, we were to imagine the score of music that we'd have in front of us and see this note on that score. And then we'd see that note on the score. Then we'd see that note on the score, then that note. So we were to imagine this on our guitar and imagine it over here. Now you might be thinking, well, why would you do that? So Nikola Tesla, who is on the front thumbnail of this, Nikola Tesla was a person back in the early 20th century, and he invented what's called the AC current, alternating current, which is what we use today for our electricity. There's two types, there's a direct current and an electric current. And he's considered one of these geniuses of our time. Well, actually not my time, because I wasn't born anywhere near that time. I'm still very, very young, very beautiful and young. And yes, well, good luck, Rob. And he, and here's the interesting story. So it's great to hear that he invented something really quite amazing. But this is the story of what he did. What he would do is he would imagine what he was building. He would build it in his head, right? He would just think of that first. He would build it inside his head. Now, around a similar time, there was an Austrian by the name of Albert Einstein, who did also the same thing. He came across or came up with his theory of relativity by imagining it, which is E = mc squared. He imagined himself riding a beam of light like this, and then he would take a position as an observer. So there he is there on that beam of light. And he was imagine himself as an observer, watching it, and go, oh, if I go at the same time, if I go at the same speed of light as an observer, nothing changes. Nothing changes. So he went, light is constant, and as an observer, but on here, everything else goes really slowly. And so he worked out all this sort of mathematical blah, blah, blah. And you might be going, okay, Rob, what's that got to do with art? Well, both of these did something really quite interesting, but both these people. Now, they're probably not the only two ever to have existed to have done that, I'm very sure, because I'd also do it and do it myself, is that they imagine this stuff inside their mind before they start to try and work it out. Now, this is it. This is really interesting for us. So they're not sitting there going, okay, so what we think the world is doing this right, and the light is moving at this sense. I don't really know. Let's try another equation. It's 32 times the pi root square of 6 equals an alternating current. Now let's test that. No. So they don't do that. Okay, so everything they imagine, so they're literally building worlds inside their mind. And Tesla would create engines. You know, the car, Tesla, Elon Musk's lovely thing called Tesla, he named it after him. So Tesla would build what was called an engine. Hi, well done. Yes, if you ever never heard of it, it's called an engine. It's just inside a car. It's just inside the bonnet. You overlift the bonnet up the engine, makes the thing move along, boom, nice and fast. So he built this engine in his head. And you might think, well, that's interesting. But here's the interesting thing. He would build it component by component, and each time he would add another piece in his mind, he would test, is it working? Then he would do another bit, and so he would simulate the engine running inside his head. And if it didn't work, it would go, well, actually, when I add that piece in there, if I put another piston in the engine and it go, oh, it's not going up and down, maybe it's because the crank here is at the wrong angle. So he would reimagine the crank at a different angle, go, okay, that's about 30 degrees. This is phenomenal. Yeah, so he doesn't have any kind of test beds out there. He is artificial intelligence, if you like, doing it inside his head. He's building a world, and he's testing the world inside his head. Now, this has some absolutely huge implications to us as humans, absolutely huge. And that is that we have the capability and capacity to be able to create and imagine everything in the world, and more. Imagine, that's the point, not just what's in the world, but imagine outside of that as if it is real. Now just think about that for a moment, and you might be going, sounds amazing, Rob. Amazing, I haven't got a clue what you're talking about and what this is related to drawing a puppy dog. We'll get there. Right. So I'd like you to do this as an experiment. Imagine that I have in front of me a lemon, okay? And I'm going to cut my knife, this lemon. I'm going to cut the lemon apart. Now I've got it open, right? There's my lemon. Now I'd like you to imagine it as well. Imagine you have a lemon in front of you. Put this near in your hand. Now bring that up to your mouth. Can you start, if you get close, can you taste it? I start to get zingy. And if you just put your tongue onto this imaginary lemon, now you could try it with your eyes closed. Try it with your eyes closed. If you imagine putting a lemon in your mouth and chewing it, what happens? If they're dyslexic, not sure, but I can probably add something else to that. That is quite an interesting thing. So if you imagine that lemon and you put it in your mouth, and with that imagination, do you get that zingy, lemony feeling, that like, oh my gosh, I've just eaten a lemon? But you haven't. Yeah? How many of you noticed that this happened? How many of you said, yeah, that happened to me just by imagining it? So if you just pop that in the comments, it'd be great to see. I know there is a bit of a delay on here. Yes. I sincerely hope we're not the only two people currently alive on the whole planet where this has happened. God, goosebumps. Oh, thank God. Thank goodness for that. I am not alone. I am not alone. Okay. Don't put that on the screen. It's like putting a spider. It's a phobia. Yes, it happened. Yeah, right. Okay. Why? Right? Start to kind of join the dots. This is really, really quite phenomenal. What you imagine you experience. Your body experiences the same thing as if it was real. It produces the same sensory experiences as if you'd actually taken that lemon and put it in your mouth and eaten it. Maybe not 100% to that degree. Actually, mine is doing it quite well at the moment. I must stop with that chocolate cake or chocolate cake, chef. If we can imagine something and experience it as if it is in the real world, and if we can build things in our mind and simulate it as if it is in the real world, and would then go out and build it, and your simulation matches or is as good as what you've just built in the real world, How do you think this might work when it comes to practicing your art? Answer this question. Connect the dots. Why did you do that to us? Hard for me to imagine, I'm afraid. Hey, look, and that's okay. I'll explain some of that. That's absolutely fine. And some people don't see things inside their head. Some people don't get the visceral experience quite so much. And this is more to do with you learning how to do this than it is that you can't or unable to. Now, some people don't see images in their head. I can't remember the technical term for it. However, I believe, from what I remember, even if they don't, when put under like a CT scan and they were told to remember, a friendly pet of theirs or something, and it would still activate the visual cortex in the brain. So even though they don't actually see it, they go, "Well, I can't see anything. I don't know what we're talking about." Yeah, okay, yeah. You talk about pet, dog, it would still activate it in the same way as if they had done that. I tend to visualize my paintings before I do them. Right. Okay. Good. Exactly. So, if you imagine now, if we go to music a little bit, so if we play a note like ding and play another note ding, 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 ding. Okay, there's a gap between the two. Now, if I played them at the same time, I can't because my voice box only does one thing at a time. It doesn't do two. If I do both at the same time, I now have a harmony, right? They should harmonize. so both notes being played at the same time, but there's a gap in between. There's a gap in between these notes. Our mind will make the gap up. Now, let me go on to another one. If you look at a crescent moon, okay, you will see, correct me if I'm wrong, you will see the whole moon. You don't actually see it, but your mind fills in the gap. We recreate the gaps. So our mind does a lot of what's called recreation and generalization. It fills in the gaps, it fills in the holes between something and says, well, that's not there, that's not there. I know that should normally be there, I'll fill it in. What I see in my head doesn't seem to transfer to my hands. Oh, right, okay. Aphantasia, thank you. It's hard to verbalize it, but seeing it in your head, if you have a roadmap of what you are going to do with your drawing, right? Mind over matter is mind is matter. Yes, and mind is matter, absolutely. So we can experience things in our mind that change the way that we experience the real world in front of us. Well, that is kind of the real world because we're experiencing it, but let's not go into that. That's sort of a bit too philosophical for today. I designed complicated landscapes with pools and outdoor living areas in the 90s and would visualize them in order to create a rendering for the client to see what it would look like. Yes, absolutely. Nice. Lovely guy. So our muscles move pencils, but our mind makes pictures. Let's go it again. Our muscles move pencils, and our mind makes pictures. So if we start to take all of this, you kind of know where I'm going, right? That practicing, you see, most people I see when they're drawing, and you kind of hear the stories afterwards. Obviously, I can't count for 7 billion people on the planet, but kids do this. Children will do this. Their imagination is amazing. They have what's called an eidetic memory, which is what you would call a photographic memory. And we can too and do. We just kind of get it taught out of us at school a bit. Excuse me. So what we can do is we can retrain ourselves. So, you know, you can close your eyes, imagine you see something nice and simple like a pencil in front of you, and can you see that pencil, and open your eyes. By the way, some people go, well yes, I close my eyes and so you see a kind of a vague, you know, blurry, not really sort of thing. That's it. That's what we're seeing. There's a difference between how we're consciously trying to imagine it than how we are dreaming about it. So if you're sitting down and like dreaming of your holiday, where you're going, and you're seeing the beach, the pool, the villa, the lovely people on the beach and stuff like that. If you're doing that and you're sort of seeing all these scenes, they're coming in really quite quickly, but you're not consciously doing it. You're dreaming, but you're seeing it with clarity. That's kind of what we're saying. When you consciously try and do it. So if I just now hold this pencil up in front of me and try and imagine it, I kind of phase in and out of it. But if I start dreaming or thinking about it randomly, without a lot of conscious volition, then I can see with almost 100% clarity, and I can zoom in and out of the picture. But as soon as I try and put effort into it, it's like I've got to think about it. We sort of we kind of squeeze that sort of part of our brain that's going, I can't do that. So don't worry if you think, well, I can't do that. It's just going, okay, have a look, close my eyes, open them, have a look, close my eyes, open them, have a look. So this is what I've found myself doing and find myself doing is I think about the pictures that I draw way before I even begin to draw them. Way before. I don't draw them. I don't go, oh, there's a picture there, and slap, I'll go ahead and draw it. That picture has probably been drawn, I don't know, 50 times, 100 times. There's one I'm looking drawing. It's a big sort of Venetian piece, an A2 one, a bit like Turner's one, but modernized up. And I haven't started that. I've been drawing it in my head since Christmas. When I saw it, I want to do that. Not his one. It was a different picture. I went, yeah, I want to do that. I haven't drawn it yet, but every day, or nearly every day, I am drawing that in my head. I'm painting it. I'm doing something. I'm re-rendering it. I'm checking out what colors that I would do. I'm thinking about what I would do, and I'm not consciously going, okay, I'm going to sit down here and start thinking about that picture. I don't do that. I dream about it. Does that sound a bit weird? Okay, so I kind of go into this dreaming time. Sometimes it could be late at night. I might wake up in the morning and it'll sort of come into my mind, and I just dream about it, going, okay, maybe I'd use and currently at the moment I have my mind is working with this tool, and I'm seeing myself painting it, just going, how would I do that? What sort of colors? And it sort of has this burnt sienna color and that orangeness to it, and then I'm working out what will I use pencil line, or will I use colored pencils for the blacks, or will it be a gray? Will that be too much, and will that work underneath it? And I keep readjusting it, and I keep testing it in my head. So when I actually get to the picture, I've already drawn it, most of it. And I find that I will work with the challenging parts first. So I will be going to those bits that my mind, my subconscious mind goes, go for that bit, Rob. Go for that bit. That's the bit you want to focus on. That bit. No, not that bit. That's the easy bit. No, that's it. The challenging bit. And my other mind goes, no, that's too hard. This way of thinking keeps me awake at night. Absolutely addicted when you look at it. Mind-body connection. Yeah, absolutely. So the reason why people struggle with practice is because what they tend to do is they think, and not your fault if you do this, because it's an endemic, worldwide. And it's such misbegotten advice, and well intentioned but misbegotten, that we go, you've got to practice more. But if you practice the wrong things, all you're doing is getting good at doing wrong things, right? So we don't want to do that. But if you practice inside your head, if you think things through inside your mind first, just like Tesla did, just like Einstein did, just like you do. We won't go there down there, Rob. That's really silly. That you arrive at your drawing prepared mentally. You know what to do mentally because you've drawn your picture loads of times already. It's not new. It's like an old friend, and you know what to do. And those parts where you think, well, you might have challenges over, even in your mind, when you're trying to figure out what to do, and you go, I don't know what to do about this part. I don't know how to render it. I don't know how to do this bit. That's a learning. That's a place where your mind is now saying, I need to focus attention on that and go and learn how to do that bit. So it could be a nose. And this is where people, then the next phase where people get stuck on is saying, great, okay, so I practice that, I do that in my mind, but what they end up doing is they draw and they paint the whole picture. And they go along and they go, well, I'll do another one, and they practice that, and they go another one and practice that. Do you know how many pictures you would have to go through in order to get good if you did not practice? Or if you said, well, I will just keep doing lots and lots and lots and lots of pictures. Do you know how many? Probably quite a few hundred pictures before you start to get that in. And this is where people talk about these 10,000 hours. You go, well, no, you got 10,000 hours of time, or 10 years of work before you kind of master it, before you get good. You see, the problem with art is it's like walking. It's a highly complex skill. I mean, it really is. And you've got so many, although they're not kind of moving, but we can call them so many moving parts that are organic and vary and differ with different lighting. Did you know that if with these pastel pencils, that there are there's about approximately 30 or 60 per box. 4 brands, 60 per box, right? So already that's 4 to the power, or 60 to the power of 4. That's already, we're into a lot. Okay, that's a big number. And if you have different, so that's the different amount of combinations that you can have to choose from, the types of colours. And that's just one colour and the next. We haven't even talked about blending yet. And then different shades, and then different lighting in your room. Whether you got evening soft light now, you got morning light or daytime light. And then we haven't even talked about the amount of different pressure that you could have on there to get soft pressure, hard. And then you haven't talked about different types of strokes and so on and so forth. I'm being really kind of like big on this. That's something like over 30, 40, 50 million different combinations of what you have to learn to get good. Let's cover that again. 30 to 50 million, it might actually be more, but let's not be pedantic about this. 30 to 50 million different types of combinations to be able to draw something that we would call realism. And that's just colour. We haven't even talked about shape yet. We haven't even put that inside of shape. Different shapes, dogs, cats, horses, trains, etc., etc. So the concept of being able to go, well, I'll take a picture and I'll go along and I'll draw a dog, and oh my gosh, it just doesn't look like a dog. It's what's wrong with me? Why can't I draw? All these people seem to have such a natural talent. They were born with it, and oh, there must be something wrong with me. It's like, oh no, or it's like, I'm too old to draw. I can't. I'm blah 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 blah. Rubbish. It's nothing to do with that. Drawing is a very highly complex, difficult task. when you attempt to draw the whole thing at the beginning without skill, without understanding and breaking things down. So the easy way to do it is this, is you do what you do when you're drawing. So I will draw this dog and I will draw the whole thing. So we're not going to break it down, just draw the whole thing. And we look at it and we go, great, what worked well? So you ask yourself the question, now you're starting to feed back to yourself. Okay, we're being strategic in our learning journey. And we ask the question, and you've actually got to be quite honest about this and not sort of beat around the bush or try and fool yourself. It's easy to go, oh, well, yes, I was good at that. That was lovely, amazing. And that part, oh, it doesn't matter, We've actually kind of got to be realist about this and go, what did I do well? And even if you go, well, but I'm not good, I didn't do anything well. You did, yeah? You will find something that you did well. I traced it, I got the lines good, great. I was able to use the spatula, or I was able to move the line. Look, if you can hold a pencil and move your pencil, I always say that if you can write, you can draw. If you can draw, you can paint. If you can paint, you can create, okay? And if you can create, you can do all of this to start with, right? Because that starts in our mind. Everything starts in here. So you will do things that are well. You just have to work out specifically what it was that you did well. That means everything else that you haven't done well is a learning opportunity. All those bits that you did do well, that means that you have conscious competence. You are unconscious competence. You're capable. You are able to do this already as of now. So you don't have to work on that now. You can just go, well, okay, I'm good at tracing. Got that done. Thank you very much. Next. What's the next bit that I don't do well? So now you can be systematic in your learning. And sorry, my wife told me about this last time. She said, oh, Rob, you've got to turn your messages off, because I get my messages on my screen here. And I just saw one pop in. It's like, oh, get out of the way. And she said, you don't actually have to do that. And I'm like, why not? She said, because no one can see that. There's me just trying to get rid of the message. Rob, that's a learning experience. So that's a learning experience, right? Something that I don't have as a competency yet. I see it and I try and do something with it. So you could be strategic in your learning. Say, what am I good at? What can I do well? And if you split this down into the traffic light system, which is red, amber, green. So red is can't do that. No idea. Haven't got a clue. Amber can do that. Pretty well. It's like 50-50. It's in your kind of grey zone. Green, yeah, got that. And then, there is that, I could do brilliant in that, I've mastered that, whatever, that's fine. And there's absolutely no way I can totally do that. And I just, absolutely, that's completely out of my skill zone, or even physical capability to do things. If someone said to me, can I high jump 3 meters? No, I physically can't do that. So, but someone else possibly could, or get close to it. Very close to it. So break down what it is that you can do, and you can just do this on a little bit of piece of paper and go, traffic light, red, amber, green, right in there. That's what I can't do. That's what I'm okay at. That's what I'm good at. You go, well, all the good bits, I can leave that. I know that. I don't have to worry about that. All the amber bits, okay, I can practice more. The red bits is, well, actually, if I spend some time on that, can I be good? Now you will find this. And this is the interesting psychology about what we do. A lot of people go, I can't do noses. I'm rubbish at that. Now, here's the thing. They probably can't do the nose because they haven't done some of the other earlier bits. And the other earlier bits that they're either doing and they can do are probably in the amber. Yeah, go figure, right? They say, well, I can't do a nose because I don't know how to do that. Well, can you colour a background? Yes, I can do that. Can you do dots? Yes, I can do that. Can you put another dot on top of another dot? Yes, I can do that. Can you choose different colours? Yes, I can do that. Can you blend them together? Yes, I can do that. Okay, so can you create a shape? Yes, I can. So if you put them all together, could you do that? Yes. Okay, so you can do noses. You just need to know. Need to be shown how. So with this, if you look at your orange, the things that you can already do, okay-ish, quite good, that's where you want to spend your time. People try and spend their time doing all the reds, and they go, well, I can't do that, and they fail. They can't do it because they don't have the competency, because the competencies are combining things that are actually in the orange. And when you combine the things that are in the orange, they will do most of the reds. And this is the most interesting thing from it. Yes, there are going to be some things that you can't do, and there is a learning, but they will come as a result of what's in the oranges and what's in the greens. Does that make sense? Right? And this is the absolute fascinating thing. So when you combine this with what's inside your head and your mind and put it together, now you have a magic system for learning quickly and getting good fast. Did I just give the keys away to the golden goose? I know that's a bit of a mixed metaphor, that one. Or the keys away to the golden gate. Yeah, and this is so important. And so many people don't do this. They fall early before they've even started the race. And they go, well, I can't do that. Look, I'm running against Usain Bolt. I know he doesn't run anymore for that sort of speed. Or I'm doing something against whoever it might be. I compare myself to them. Well, don't, because they're completely different people. Different experiences, different backgrounds. You have yours. It is unique. It's individual. It's yours. Learn to work with the talents that you have and expand on them. Go from the greens to oranges. Work in your orange field, because your orange field is full of barley. And you know what barley makes? It's something alcoholic. What does it make? I think it's barley. Well, apart from barley water. There we go. It makes barley water and something nice to drink. Barley, it's hops, isn't it? Beer. Is it beer? I'm sure it's beer. So spend your time doing this. And that's how you get good fast. Because this is what I did. And this is what I do. I spent a lot of time thinking about things. And I would wake up at the most stupid times in the mornings, thinking about the picture that I would have to draw for a client as a commission. And I would imagine it. I would just be running through my head. What do I need to do? How do I do this? What do I do? Da, 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 blah, blah, blah. And then by the time I get to do it, I draw it. But I would always focus on one bit. I would get good at one bit. I wouldn't go, okay, we've got to draw the whole thing, and get good at that. And through time, I got better and better at each of these individual things until they kind of came together naturally. And they came together, as you know, with that. That's when it all comes together. And that's when you go, I can draw. Now we move from drawing to from unconscious competency to now we move into mastery, which is now we refine things. Now we start to move into different areas. Go, if you think about it, cats and dogs and horses, I mean, they're such so many different types of dogs that I would sit there and go, when am I going to get good at drawing them? Can't someone give me a poodle that I just drew last week? Or if they did, it would be a different colour. And I'm going, oh gosh, so now I have to do a different colour. So this is how you get good fast. So my recommendation is let your imagination do the rehearsal before you go out on stage. Thank you. Okay, so any questions? Any questions that are on here? Zania, are there any questions from people? I hopefully all of this worked. So from what I can see that it did. I think just bring my microphone a little bit closer, and let me just I'll pop the screen on. So you haven't seen Benji yet, yeah? Nope. I thought that was my wife shouting at me. No, it probably wasn't. So let me just get Benji. I have finished him. You'll see a little bit of it. It's not a great screen on here, I'm afraid, but here we go. He's blackened out. So we got the black. It's all done now. Move him about. Pop it back to me. Do I put a fixed over my drawing? No, never. No. So just frame them. Put them in a frame. That's it. Nice and easy. Any other questions? Any other questions on life, the universe, and everything? The answer is 42, but apparently it's because they asked the wrong question. I click on thumbs up straight away. Thank you. So was that good? Is that useful? How can you use this? So yeah, was that useful? Give me some thumbs up. Give me some loves on there. Let me know that this was good. And would you like more things like this? This is a free one. This is to everyone. I'm not holding this back. I believe that something like this should be out there in the community. There are so many people who fall by the wayside. Like I said before they need to. And something like this is so useful, especially at our schools. A lot at our schools. And this doesn't just apply to art, by the way. This is a methodology that is you can apply to anything: cooking, dancing, cleaning the bathroom, making the bed, anything where you want to get good fast. So useful elsewhere. Signing question: on the last video chat, white pencil reviews, is it different than other white pastels? When I put white pencil, it doesn't show. Yeah, thank you. No, just a standard white pencil. Okay, let me just getting a question from Zani on here. Let me just have a look. What do people do if they can't visualize like you do prior to drawing? Okay, great. All right, white pencil. So Faber-Castell. Let me just cover that one quickly. So don't use your white pencil until you actually need to use a white pencil. Okay. Majority of the time, I would recommend you use a light cream, a 103 Faber-Castell. Oh no, you can't see that. There we go. I was doing the wrong thing. 103 as your lightest most of the time. Yeah, your white, which is over here. Faber-Castell one again is a 101. That you just use sparingly. That's where you're using just where the sun is going to hit, just where the light's going to hit. So if you look in my room at the moment, the only bit where you'd probably use a white, even there, would be a tiny bit on these purple lights behind me. Just from how I'm seeing it in the camera, that's where I would choose that. The rest of it is not white. That wall is kind of like a grey, so I would use a grey with a grey purple, very light lilac. The door again is going to be like that sort of lilac colour, and this is what the colour atlas is for. So if you have that, you can go grab the colour atlas from us, and you can choose your pencils so easily. And just go, well, I need a white, and Caran d'Ache, they have about 4 different whites, and they are very slightly different, but they are different enough. And we show you which ones match with it, so you can just go and grab that. Easiest thing in the world. Saves me absolutely hours and tons of heartache. So how would you use all of this? Well, we use this in everything that we've been talking here in the framed membership. I'm not going to sell it to you. There's a link on the bottom here. You can go along and have a look yourself. But we will be using this method inside the framed membership to get good fast. That's why we've designed it. It's not a sit along. Okay, sit here and just draw some nice stuff. Which, don't get me wrong, it's a nice thing and very wonderful, relaxing thing to have to do. But I'd rather teach you how to draw, than just have you draw stuff, because you can do that. I know the community side is great, and we have that as well. what is it? Someone said, I came for I came for the coffee, stayed for the community. So I'll come back to the what thoughts do you have on a dyslexic subject? Okay, can you give me a little bit more on that, about that one? When your pen passes on love them so much easier backgrounds like that. Yes, it is. Rob, can you speak on blacks too? A member posted a pic today, and I mentioned you rarely just use black, use purple, blue. Yeah, absolutely. I don't just use. This is the only time I will just use a black. When you saw Benji there, that is just a straight black background. So that's just straight black. But then sometimes I might even put some other colours in, like a little bit of a light tan or brown, so and a little bit around the head, so it acts a bit like a halo. Another technique altogether. So blacks, add some blue. Yeah, put some blue in there. A sort of a fairly mid-tone blue. You can also put light blue in there as well. You can put some magenta is lovely. What other ones? Yeah, just add colours to it. You know, even if the colours aren't in there, just add it. It just builds richness to your picture. It really does. You need to do it carefully, and yes, you do. What is the number for the creamy white? It's a 103. Yeah, you got that. Cool, good. Right, the dyslexia side. Sorry, can you ask your question on that? I didn't quite get that. What thoughts do you have on the dyslexic subject? Specifically, what? So I can understand your question on there, and just sort of going back over some of these questions. Can you visualize the process even if you are making a realism piece? Yes. Yes. Yeah. Just yeah. Absolutely. Visualize it. I'm so sorry to hear that you saw that. How wonderful. Right. What if you're trying to draw realistic pictures? Would you just look at the picture and try to replicate it? Then you wouldn't need to picture it in your head first. No. Right. So the point of this is not to just go and draw what it is that you're seeing. The point of this is to do it inside your head first, so that when you get to the paper, you've done it. Now all you're doing is just the actions. Yeah, and this is why we teach tracing as your prime thing to do, because we're teaching you the arcs and the moves of how to use your hand by continually doing this with different pictures. So in the end, you've built up the habit, the competency of being able to draw in the right kind of way. So you can just move your hand and it glides. You know, you're not going you're trying to put stuff around. So you can move it in. You can move your hands in the arcs that you need to, in the same way that when you are taught to write when you're younger, when you're a kid, you're taught to, you know, one letter, you're taught shapes. You know, that's all writing is. It's just a shape, and you keep repeating the shape again and again, then you're taught to slowly join them up. Now, if it's anything like my writing, you can't read it anyway. I've gone past that sort of a readability side, but you're teaching your muscles how to do something without knowing what it is that you're doing. But if you're trying to get a kid to say that, right, draw a P, draw a Q, they would look at you like, what? I haven't got a clue, mate. You know, I don't get it. So you want to do it inside your head first, so that when you get to it, you've actually drawn it. What you're doing in here will translate into the muscle movement of your arms, and that's what we're trying to do. You want to connect this to this. Yeah. Okay, cool. So what does someone do who does have aphantasia, Rob, to be able to think about it before drawing? Okay, so if you can't see pictures in your head, just, how would you say it? So what you can do is you can talk to yourself about it. So we'll say, okay, so I would suggest you do this, right? We know that if you look up and have your head tilted and move up this way, you access the visual cortex of your brain. Okay, so you want to look up, and you can talk to yourself and say, well, okay, first I would start with the right hand corner, and then maybe you can look back at the reference image just to kind of get an idea. Okay, so I will start with the ear, and even then start to use your hands. Probably, maybe a bit of a light brushing. Maybe try cream color and put that cream in, and then brush it in. And what you're doing is you're training your system, even though you can't see the picture, by talking about it, looking at it and talking. And looking up, you will be accessing that visual cortex of the brain, and still be doing the same thing. You just can't see the picture. Don't worry about that. It will work the same way. It might take a little bit of a practice. So obviously, when we're talking about something, when we use our voice, it is slower than if you see something in your head and you go picture, blah blah blah. We can be really, really quick. But it will start to activate those same things in the same way. Okay, let's just scroll back down to the beginning. Blah blah blah. Sorry, so there's a delay. So I've always wondered if either were dyslexic. Amazing how those with dyslexic see what the average do not. So you see a wave crash down the beach and picture that in your mind, then it transferred to the flow movement of your hand. Yes. What pencils are you using, Maria? Okay. So were Einstein and Tesla dyslexic? I don't know. But here's something to think about in another way. I spent some time with a guy called John Grinder, who's if you've ever come across this system called neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, John and I and Carmen, we went to visit a guy in Australia called, oh God, that's my memory. Why? Oh, why? Oh my gosh. Oh, I can't. He's the director for the Centre of the Mind, Professor. Oh, bloody hell. If you look in Centre of the Mind in Australia, Sydney University, he comes from Seattle. Lovely guy. We went to visit him. So he did a lot of study around autism. I think it was autism you were saying, wasn't it? Not. Was it autism or dyslexia? So around autism, and John and I went there, and we did this project with him. So he would have he studied how you and I, normal people, could have the same higher brain functioning systems as those people who have autism. So Rain Man. There's another guy called someone Williams, I think maybe, but Barnabas, I can't remember his name. He's an English guy, youngster now in his sort of early 20s, I think, and you could take him up in a helicopter. So he was an artist, and you take him up in a helicopter over London, come back down again, and he would draw it, a whole map of London, 3D, just like mind blowing. Rain Man, of course, can eat a whole yellow pages and know, you say, oh, Peter Goodall, and they go, oh yes, page 334, line 6. What's his phone number? And he'll give you the phone number, or whoever it was, Jasmina Jones or whatever, blah 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 blah. And so he studied these people because what they had, he found that when people would have brain operations, they would, if there's something wrong with your brain, my mum had one, they sort of cut open your head, skull, and they go inside and do whatever. But they have to keep you awake for it, and they found that sometimes they would touch one bit of the brain and to test bits like, if I touch that bit of the brain, what happens? And their arm flies off, or they go touch a bit and they go, and they can't talk. And so you can touch bits of the brain and it doesn't, and it stops things happening, or it activates something. And they use this thing called a mag stem that they put on top of the head, and it would stop the production of our internal dialogue, right? So our voice inside the head goes, bah, 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 bah. So it would stop this. They could still talk, but it would stop it, but not that well. And this kind of goes off into quite a bit of an esoteric field as well, but we won't sort of go into that. Anyway, so Professor Alan Snyder, there we go, I knew it would come out. Professor Alan Snyder, he said, well, if that's the case, if we can stop people's production of, so he did it from some other study and found out from other things, and then he went, oh, what's really interesting, I found that there are people that when we stop the production of our internal dialogue, that normal people like you and I, we can do things that these savants would do. Some people who couldn't draw could draw. People who could not count prime numbers could count prime numbers. People who could not play a piano could play a piano. Now, I'm not saying they would play it with the same sort of veracity and wonderfulness as them, but they would do things that they had the non-capability to have before. So, one of the things that we talked about in this was that there are some a lot of people that are that have this autism side that they tend to be mathematicians or have some kind of mathematics engineering type sort of way of thinking. So a lot of computer programmers may well have these traits. I'm not saying that they are autistic or they are savants, but it seems that what it does is it closes off or limits the way that the brain processes internal dialogue, and especially when they were younger. There's a lot more to it that I won't go into there. So did they have dyslexia? Possibly, and I don't know what the relationship is between the two at all, and I don't want to say that there is. But could dyslexia also give this kind of functioning? I don't know. Honestly, don't know. Okay. Marshall, pit a hard on pants, try candles, just really too much black paper. It's okay, super. I started the class castle art pencil yesterday. I received my favourite Castile pit and a white 101 didn't work over the darker colours. Figure I messed up and don't know how to correct. Okay, that could be castle art pencil. Okay. So castle art pencils, I believe that they do the wax ones, same as Prismacolor by Carandash or whatever. They don't do pastel pencils. I can't find that they do pastel pencils at all. It's just normal color pencils. So that's probably why, actually. Yeah. So wrong pencils. Okay. I think I get it. You're letting your mind dictate what the hand is doing. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. And then it becomes a system. They work together in tandem, meaning you don't have to think about it. It just does it. You just do it. It's like something dropping out off a shelf. You go bang, and you out and you catch it. Okay. What does it mean that the tooth is full? All right, tooth is full. So your paper. Imagine this as like teeth, yeah, and your pastel. When you put your pastel on the paper, it will fill it up. The more pastel you put in there, fill it up until you right to the top, and then it'll feel like your pencil is skating on top. If you put too much in, then you can't put any more colours down, and it's these combinations of different bits of colour in there that will fill it up. That's the simple kind of thing from it. So don't put too much colour down. Rob, can you try dabbing? Off pastel if the pencil isn't going on? Perhaps the tooth is full. If the tooth is full, then you probably want to wipe some of it away and start that bit again. I would suggest. If you put too much down and you still have quite a way to go, if you're kind of at the end, I wouldn't worry about it. But if you know that you're quite early on, you just slapped too much on there. But it sounds to me, if you're using Castle Arts, that these aren't the right ones. I mean, it's a white on a black. Yeah, I wouldn't do it. You really want pastel pencil, much better. You're kind of going into different territory there. Okay, up a bit further, I mentioned the hardness of the pencils when putting white over black. Garth read what she said. Yes, okay, wax pencils, so that probably doesn't work very well. You can use wax over pan pastels, but you've got to really sort of blend that into your pencil, into your paper first, to get it good. So yeah, definitely go and get yourself a set of Faber-Castell, Stabilo Carpethello, or whatever like that, and great. So yeah, if you want to join our oh, by the way, actually, I'm not selling this, but just a point that some people have sort of raised before with the membership. So if you join the membership, when we're going to run another one of these lives, a different, not Benji again. I love Benji. We will be doing something different. Not quite sure yet, but we will have that worked out. We're going to run it end of June, July. So that's a sort of time frame, about 3 weeks from now. 3 to 4 weeks, yeah, around that sort of time. So if you join the membership, you get that for free. So you join the membership, there you go. You just come along and you get all this wonderful stuff and a lot more. So yeah, so kind of cool. And if you join tonight, you get some wonderful, lovely goodies, which is the bonuses, which is the King and Queen, the Corgi and the Cavalier Spaniel. But forget about that. They're lovely. Sorry, it's Corgis. It's what I teach you on there is how to use your pencils to get such brightness in your pictures. If you're doing glassy eyes, if you're doing jewels, which obviously these are, because the one was a tiara, one was the crown. The coronation crown, and it's how to get them so they almost look like they are actually sparkling, and that's a very special technique that I developed for that. Well, I didn't really develop, I kind of discovered it and went, wow, that's kind of cool, let's do more of that. I went, oh, that's even cooler, and that's what it is. So yeah, if you want that, join tonight, and then yeah, you also come along in the next month, and to the next one, and have lots of more amazing stuff. Okay, so yeah, I think that's it. Thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you over the next next times. So we're still sending messages out for the membership. Please don't unsubscribe from the emails. Please don't do that. The reason why is because it's not a single list, or it's if you unsubscribe from that, going, oh, I don't want any more about the what it is that I'm talking about now. You end up unsubscribing from everything, and that becomes a problem if you want to buy anything more or just want to find out about stuff afterwards. Just kind of go, okay, I'll just put it into a folder and that's it. So thank you very much, everyone. I wish you a great Sunday rest of the day, however that is for you, and I will see you soon. And love to see more of your work. Thank you.